and welcome to another segment of Life Changing Solutions Live. And I'd like to just get into it because we have a very hot topic today and introduce our guest, Monica Aldan. She is Miss Downtown Las Vegas.
I am.
Welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and obviously for this important topic today.
Yes, it's pretty heavy, and so we're going to try our best to get as much as we can in here. But I think the most important thing is the message that you carry behind this. And thank you for your willingness to share your story.
Yeah. It's actually my first time sharing publicly, which was a hard decision to come to. So I'm glad to finally just get it over with.
Wow, I'm even more honored. So thank you. And the topic is domestic violence. So as I said, we're just going to kind of get right into it. And you're a big advocate about that, and you're out there creating awareness, using your title as Miss Downtown Las Vegas to use it as a platform to create that awareness. And why is that?
Basically, it all started July 11th when a woman jumped out of a moving vehicle up on 215 in Russell and actually ran into our office and hid in our server room. She was running from her boyfriend who was abusing her in the vehicle. And it really just touched my heart, her experience. I have been through domestic violence myself, and so everything was kind of kicked off with that. And I started looking at statistics. I started looking at, what the resources that were available to people who went through abuse, who are going through abuse, and the statistics just blew my mind. I had never read them before, and I went through this about 10 years ago, and it just blew my mind. And a bunch of other things happened that won't fit in this segment, but have led me to where I am today. And I started sharing at that point with, anybody and everybody who I could, because I decided that I needed to help people and not be silent anymore and not care what people think about me. That was the biggest reason of why I didn't want to share what I went through. But that kind of kicked it off. And then, so I'd already been sharing my story, privately with people. And then I was asked to run for Mrs. Nevada America. And I said, you know what, I'm going to accept the challenge because I can bring domestic violence awareness to a bigger platform. And if anything, that good comes of it, why not?
Wow. And something that you spoke into is the fact that you were, abused yourself. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that you're out there and you're sharing your story, and to look at you, it's like you're beautiful, and it's like, how does this happen? And so, let's share your story. What?
Yeah, so people who know me today and who've met me afterwards, and they find out recently what I've been going through, they look at me and they're like, oh my gosh, you're such a straightforward, strong woman. I can't believe you ever went through anything like that. And I'd have to say, that's the biggest misconception about people who go through domestic violence. I consider myself to be a very strong person before I got into it. So today I kind of wanted to share my own experience and explain some of the things that people go through in domestic violence and how it gets to where it's at. So I've had my car tires slashed so that I couldn't leave. I was put down verbally. I've had my bank card taken away. My car taken away, my cell phone, to where literally you have nothing. They spend all of your money. It's a control issue to put you in a state of mind of just complete helplessness, like you can't get out. And then the abuse can get so bad that you don't want to get other people involved because you know what this person is capable of, your abuser. And it's horrible. My entire pregnancy, obviously you've heard my experience. He would come home. He was on drugs. He would come home, sit on top of me, poke me in my forehead. I wasn't allowed to sleep. He would spit in my face, call me names. And it went on for quite a while.
So what was that pivotal moment? What did it take from you, and what happened to where you just said enough is enough?
Well, I'd have to say that one of the worst experiences, he had been out on the town with a friend. We went over to have dinner, and then he ended up leading me at that friend's house and went out all night. It was on a work night. I was 8 months pregnant, and he finally came back about 2:30 in the morning and then drove me home. I put my daughter to bed, who was about 2.5 at that time, and I didn't say anything. I got in the shower, and next thing I knew, the shower curtain was flung open. He grabbed a handful of my hair, dragged me to the bed, threw me on the bed. I was belly up. I was huge with my son. And my first survival tactic, I guess, was to come to my feet. And he met me there and grabbed 2 handfuls of my hair and headbutted me, and my nose exploded. By the time I got my vision back, I was staring down the barrel of a shotgun. And it was weird. I had a crazy moment where I could hear the water still running, and I looked down past him to a mirror that was behind him in the bathroom, and I could see myself soaking wet, blood down my entire body. And just staring at myself like I'm already dead. I'm already dead inside. I had no emotion. I couldn't cry. And I took my hand, moved the shotgun away from my face, and I punched him in the face. Stood up for myself for the very first time. And he just stood there for a minute, and I went and laid down. Water's still running, and it was a horrible experience that I went through. Unfortunately, there was other times after that, and we won't go, into much detail, but I'd have to say that's when the fear kind of melted away, and I wasn't afraid to stand up to him anymore.
Wow. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing that. That was very impactful, and so you leave. Is that the end of it? Are you fine after that? Like when you walk out and close that door, does the story end there?
No. You are emotionally scarred. You don't trust people. I was afraid to get into another relationship for years, which I finally did. And at that point, I had told him, okay, you have a week to get out. He was sleeping on my couch at that time. We were not in a relationship. And that Friday, he was still not out. Came home, or in the morning, I told him that I would have to call the police if he wasn't out. His things were out when I got home from work that day. And that was on a Friday. And on Tuesday morning, 2:30 in the morning, a neighbor was pounding on my door. And I opened the door, and I was met by flames. My new boyfriend's car was completely burned down in my driveway. And I was shocked. I was in shock. I was an irresponsible homeowner. I didn't have any batteries in my smoke detectors, and had the neighbor's girlfriend not come home when she did from work, me and my children would have died that night. And it was hard standing there watching his car burn down in my driveway. The tree catching fire, my daughter's bike melting on my front porch, and listening to the cracking of the flames, and the car alarm going off. It was an unreal moment. And to this day, my ex says that it was his brother that did it, that it wasn't him. But, when you go through domestic violence and you go through things like that, really anything, you feel everything is from that person that would do those things to you.
And that's one of the things that I'm hearing that you walk away with. It's almost like a paranoia, feeling that you're constantly going to get harassed or victimized by this person. Well, I'm really glad that you were able to get out, and now you're turning it around and using, there's something that I say, it's like using your mess as your message. Yes. Let your mess be your message. And not to say that it was a mess, but you know what I'm saying?
It was, absolutely.
And I think that's so huge and so encouraging and empowering to other women, or not just women, because they're not the only ones, but so what is, in a nutshell, your message to the victims and to the abusers?
So to the victims, it would be to get out. Obviously, it's not normal. It's not your fault. You're not going to change it. and you need to get out. Every day it's like playing Russian roulette. You're playing with your life, and you need to get help. There is help out there. You're not alone. Unfortunately, this is happening to millions of people across the world. And, you know, I didn't even know that shelters and things like that existed. So just know that you're not alone, and there is help out there, and get out now, because death is forever. That's it. Don't juggle with your life. My message to the abusers would be to get help. You know, oftentimes the abused are too scared to get help. So maybe the answer is to make it a little more acceptable for the abusers to reach out, seek counseling, and, you know, seek mentors in situations like this. You know, you can change. It's not too late for the abusers. Whatever you've done up to this point, change now. I'm begging that of you, because this isn't good for you. If there's children involved, it's not good for the person that you're abusing, and it leaves scars for life.
Well, thank you again so much. Time has run out. We've actually gone a little bit over. Very quickly, you are running for Miss Nevada America.
Yes.
How do we vote for you?
So online on social media, I will be sharing. You will be able to vote for me. If I win this portion of the contest, then 30% of all of the money raised voting for me will actually go to my charity of choice, which is the Shade Tree. I'm actually on the event committee with them. I do a lot of work for the Shade Tree. It's a wonderful organization that helps women, children, and their pets. And then in addition to that, if I win, then I will be guaranteed one of the top 5 spots in running for Mrs. Nevada America.
Well, we'll definitely be voting for you.
Thank you so
again.
much.
And
nice to be here.
thanks. And everybody, stay tuned for the next segment. Thanks.